19 years. That's how long Lisa and I were together. Almost 2 decades of my life spent with a woman I thought I knew better than anyone. I was wrong. So unbelievably wrong. And the worst part? She made me doubt myself before I ever doubted her. It wasn't some gut feeling that tipped me off. It wasn't a missed call at 2 a.m. or a lipstick stain on a shirt. No, Lisa was better than that. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would have gone to my grave believing her lies. It started with our anniversary. A day she forgot. 19 years together, and she didn't even bother with an excuse. No, oh, work was crazy. No. I thought we were celebrating this weekend. Just a blank stare. A slow blink. And then, oh, yeah, that was today, wasn't it? I should have been angry. I should have said something. But instead, I just watched her. The way she didn't even pretend to feel guilty. The way she barely looked up from her phone. The way her lips curled into a tiny smirk. Like she was daring me to call her out. That was the moment something in me shifted. Lisa thought she was smarter than me. She thought I was a predictable, boring, safe husband. The kind of man who would never question her, never fight back. But what she didn't know was that I had been keeping secrets too. And unlike hers, mine were worth $10 million. That night, instead of confronting her, I played along. I kissed her goodnight, told her I loved her, and pretended like nothing had changed. But the second she fell asleep, I got to work. First, her phone. She had always been careful, but that night, she got sloppy. Maybe it was the wine. Maybe it was the thrill of knowing she had gotten away with something. Either way, she forgot to turn off Face ID. And just like that, I was in. The first message I saw was from him. You looked so good tonight. I couldn't stop thinking about earlier. I'm still hard just remembering it. My hands went numb. My vision blurred at the edges. But I didn't stop. I scrolled through months of messages, photos, voice notes, an entire second life she had built right under my nose. Hotels, expensive gifts, inside jokes I had never heard before. Lisa wasn't just cheating. She was in love with this guy. And then I saw the worst message of all. Don't worry, babe. He won't do anything. He's too weak. Weak. That was the moment I decided to burn her world to the ground. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? My wife, the woman I built a life with, the woman I trusted more than anyone, was lying right next to me, completely unaware that I had just uncovered her disgusting little secret. Her breathing was slow, even peaceful. Like she had nothing to worry about. Like she had me so tightly wrapped around her finger that I wouldn't dare question her. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, her phone still in my hand. My heart wasn't even pounding anymore. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't crying. I felt nothing. Nothing except cold, razor-sharp clarity. Lisa had been playing me for a fool. She had been laughing at me behind my back. And now it was my turn. I got up, moving carefully so I wouldn't wake her, walked into the bathroom, shut the door, and sat down on the edge of the bathtub. I needed a plan, a real plan, not some emotional, rage-fueled outburst that would give her the upper hand. No, I needed to make her feel the same level of humiliation, betrayal, and sheer powerlessness that she had inflicted on me. I thought back to that message. Don't worry, babe. He won't do anything. He's too weak. Weak. I could almost hear her saying it, could picture her laughing about it with him over drinks, probably in some hotel bed that I paid for. I turned her phone over in my hands. I could do a lot with this. A hell of a lot. But I wasn't going to explode just yet. No, I was going to take my time. Let her think she was safe. Let her think she was getting away with it. Let her think she was untouchable. Then, when she least expected it, I was going to destroy her. But first, I needed to know everything. So I kept scrolling. His name was Nathan. Some mid-level finance bro who thought he was a lot slicker than he actually was. I found his Instagram, his LinkedIn, even his wife's Facebook. Oh yeah, he was married too. To a woman named Claire. Interesting. I kept digging. The more I read, the worse it got. Lisa and Nathan weren't just sneaking around. They were planning. Talking about how free they were going to be. How they were tired of living lies. How Lisa was so over her boring old marriage and ready to finally feel alive. The messages weren't just recent. They went back over a year. A year. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. 19 years of marriage, and she had been screwing this guy for at least one. And now? Now they were starting to talk about money. Lisa had no idea just how rich I was. Sure, she knew we were comfortable. But she had no clue that I had been making strategic moves behind the scenes for the last 5 years, building an empire that she had absolutely no legal claim to. Because I never told her about the $10 million. And if Lisa thought she was going to walk away from me and take so much as a single penny, she had another thing coming. I put her phone back exactly where I found it and climbed back into bed. Lisa shifted slightly but didn't wake up. I turned to face her. This woman. This liar. This traitor. She thought she was playing a game. She had no idea I was about to change the rules. The next morning, Lisa woke up with that same smug expression she always had these days, stretching lazily in our bed like she didn't have a care in the world. Like she wasn't living a double life right under my nose. She rolled over, smiling at me, pressing a lazy kiss to my cheek. "Morning, babe," she murmured, her voice still thick with sleep. I wanted to laugh. Or maybe scream. Instead, I kissed her back. "Morning," I said, voice calm. Too calm. Lisa didn't notice. She was already reaching for her phone. I watched her unlock it, this time turning away slightly, hiding the screen from me. How convenient. I had to play this smart. I couldn't let her suspect anything. Not yet. I got out of bed, stretched, and ran a hand through my hair. "I was thinking," I said, keeping my tone light, casual, like nothing had changed. "We should go out tonight. A nice dinner. Just us." Lisa barely glanced up from her screen. Can't. Book club. Book club. I almost laughed out loud. That was her go-to excuse when she was sneaking off to see him. Book club. A ridiculous lie that I had swallowed without question for months. I forced a smile. "Oh, right? Forgot it was Wednesday." Lisa hummed, still scrolling. "But let's do something this weekend," she added, fake enthusiasm dripping from her voice. "I feel like we haven't had a proper date night in forever." I nodded, pretending to consider it. "Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's keep pretending." She had no idea that I had already put my plan in motion. While Lisa was sleeping peacefully last night, I had sent every single text, every photo, every video to my own email. I had backups of backups. I had gathered proof. And now I was going to get even more. I kissed her on the forehead, grabbed my keys, and left for work like it was just another ordinary day. But instead of going straight to the office, I made a little detour. To Nathan's house. It was in one of those cookie-cutter suburbs, the kind where every house looked the same, with perfect lawns and decorative wreaths on the front doors. I pulled up a few houses down and waited. At 8:15 sharp, the front door opened, and Claire stepped out. Nathan's wife. She was beautiful in that effortlessly elegant way. Classy. The kind of woman who carried herself like she had never been humiliated. The kind of woman who didn't know, yet, that she was married to a lying, cheating coward. I got out of my car and walked toward her. "Claire," I called out. She turned, eyes narrowing slightly. "Yes." I took a deep breath. And then, with a calmness I didn't even know I was capable of, I said the words that would change her life forever. "I need to talk to you about your husband." Claire froze. Her fingers tightened slightly around the to-go coffee cup in her hands, knuckles turning pale. For a moment, she just stared at me, processing what I had said. Then she laughed. A small, nervous sound. "I'm sorry, who are you?" I pulled my phone out of my pocket, unlocked it, and held it up. Her eyes flicked down. And then, I watched as her entire world shattered. The screen was filled with messages. Texts, pictures, video clips, all from her husband, all sent to my wife. I saw the exact moment she understood. Her body went stiff. Her breath hitched, and then her face went blank, like she had just been erased. I gave her a few seconds. Let her process. Let the betrayal sink in. Then I said, "Do you want to sit down?" She didn't answer, just turned on autopilot, walking back to the house without another word. The door clicked open, and I followed her inside. It was too perfect. The living room was straight out of a designer magazine. White furniture, clean lines, fresh flowers in a vase. The kind of house that belonged to people who had it all together. Except now it was a house filled with lies. Claire finally spoke. "How long?" Her voice was eerily calm. I looked down at my phone. "Over a year." Her hand trembled. Just once. A tiny shake before she clenched her fingers into a fist and pressed them against her lips. "A year," she repeated. I nodded. Silence. And then, she let out a slow, shaky breath. "Show me everything." So I did. I handed her my phone and let her see it all. Every disgusting text. Every sneaky hotel meetup. Every lie her husband had told her. First, she just scrolled. No reaction. Nothing on her face. But then, she reached one of the videos. A short clip, just 6 seconds. Nathan, sitting on a hotel bed, grinning at the camera. She's upstairs showering. God. She wore me out. I saw Claire's throat move as she swallowed. Her nostrils flared slightly. And then, she hurled my phone across the room. It slammed into the wall, bounced off, and hit the floor with a loud crack. She shot up from the couch, pacing, her breathing suddenly ragged. That? She stopped, shaking her head like she couldn't even form words. That absolute. She didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. I leaned forward, resting my elbows on my knees. Claire, I said, voice even. I have a plan. She stopped pacing, turned to me, eyes blazing. Tell me. And so I did. I told her everything. About Lisa's arrogance. About the $10 million she didn't know existed. About how they were planning to leave us. How they thought we were too weak to do anything about it. And by the time I was done, Claire wasn't just listening anymore. She was ready to fight. Claire sat across from me, gripping the edge of the couch so tightly that I thought she might tear through the fabric. Her face had shifted from shock to something colder, sharper. This wasn't a woman who was about to break down. No, this was a woman who had just made a decision. All right, she finally said, voice steady. Tell me what you need from me. I hadn't expected her to fold this easily. Most people, when confronted with this kind of betrayal, needed time to process. But not Claire. She was already thinking ahead. I leaned forward, watching her closely. They think we're weak, I said. Her lips curled slightly. They're idiots. I almost smiled. Yes. Yes, they are. I stood up, pacing slowly. Here's what we know. Lisa and Nathan have been seeing each other for at least a year. They've been careful, but not careful enough. They think we're clueless. They think we'll either never find out or, if we do, we'll just roll over and let them leave on their terms. I turned to her. We're not doing that. Claire leaned back, crossing her arms. You have a plan. I can see it in your face. I nodded. I do. But I need to know how far you're willing to go. She tilted her head slightly. How far do you want to go? I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I let her sit in the silence. Let her feel the weight of it. Then I said, I want to ruin them. Her lips parted slightly. And then, something fascinating happened. She laughed. A low, almost disbelieving chuckle. Good, she said. I exhaled slowly. All right, then here's what we do. I pulled out my backup phone, the one I had started using the second I found out about Lisa's affair, and pulled up a folder labeled Final Act. I turned the screen toward her. Bank statements, emails, contracts, legal documents. Claire's eyebrows furrowed. What is this? This, I said, is proof that Lisa and Nathan have been talking about money, specifically my money. Her expression darkened. You think they're planning to take it? I nodded. Lisa doesn't know about the $10 million I have stashed away, but she's been testing the waters, asking vague questions about accounts, assets, divorce settlements. I thought nothing of it at first, but now it's clear. She's making sure she gets a big chunk before she leaves. Claire's jaw tightened. Nathan wouldn't be any different. Exactly. So here's what we do. I sat down beside her and laid it all out. Step 1, play along. Pretend like nothing has changed. Let Lisa and Nathan feel safe. Let them keep thinking they're getting away with it. Step 2, gather evidence. I already had the messages, but I needed more. I needed them to say it outright that they were planning to leave us, that they were expecting to take what was ours. Step 3, pull the rug out from under them. Lisa had no idea that I had already moved my money into protected assets she couldn't touch. And Nathan? Well, Nathan had more skeletons in his closet than just an affair. A little digging had uncovered some shady financial dealings. Claire's eyes lit up at that. You're telling me my husband is a criminal? I smirked. I'm telling you that with the right push we can make him look like one. She inhaled sharply, considering it. Then slowly she nodded. What's the timeline? She asked. I glanced at my watch. If we do this right? I met her gaze. 1 week. She exhaled slowly, then held out her hand. Then let's destroy them. I shook it. And just like that it began. The next few days were a game of patience. Every morning, I woke up next to Lisa, kissed her goodbye, and watched her lie to my face without a single ounce of guilt. Every night, I pretended to be the same clueless husband she had been fooling for over a year. And all the while, I was tightening the noose. Claire and I had agreed to keep communication to a minimum. If Lisa or Nathan got even a hint that something was off, they'd get sloppy. They'd try to cover their tracks, maybe even speed up their plan to leave. We couldn't risk that. We needed them to feel comfortable. Untouchable. So I waited. Watched. Collected every single piece of evidence. Lisa had no idea that I had installed tracking software on her phone. She had no idea that every time she sent a message, I was getting a copy. That every time she made a call, I could listen in. And the things she was saying? They didn't just piss me off. They made me dangerous. He still has no clue. I swear, Nathan, he's pathetic. He actually bought me flowers last night. We just need to be smart. If I push him toward the divorce first, I can spin it like it was his idea. That way, I get the house and half of everything. No, babe. Trust me. He won't fight it. He's a pushover. Pushover. Lisa had spent 19 years underestimating me. And now, she was about to find out exactly how big of a mistake that was. The setup on Friday night, Lisa told me she was going to book club again. I smiled, nodded, and kissed her on the cheek. Have fun. She laughed. You're the best, babe. Then she walked out the door, climbed into her car, and drove off to meet Nathan at a hotel. I knew this because I was already there. Claire and I had booked a room 2 floors above them, and thanks to a well-placed hotel employee with a grudge, turns out Nathan had a habit of stiffing the housekeeping staff on tips. We had their room number. We weren't going in blind. Claire had convinced Nathan she was visiting her sister for the weekend, so he wasn't expecting her. Lisa? Well, Lisa thought I was at home waiting up like an idiot. Instead, I was standing outside their room, listening. The door was slightly cracked, not enough to see anything, but enough to hear Lisa's voice. Soft, playful. You always get the nicest rooms for us. Nathan chuckled. You deserve it, babe. My fingers curled into fists, but I forced myself to stay calm. Stick to the plan. Inside, I heard the rustle of fabric, the clink of a belt buckle, a low laugh, and then a knock. Claire. There was a shuffle. A pause. Nathan's voice, confused. Did you order room service? Lisa giggled. Maybe you got me a surprise. I could almost see it in my head, the way she probably ran a hand through her hair, smirking, thinking she was in control. Nathan crossed the room. I heard the door swing open. Then silence. A sharp inhale. Then Claire's voice. Cool. Deadly. Hey, babe. And then? Chaos. For a split second, there was nothing. Just a long, suffocating silence. Then Lisa's voice. High-pitched. Panicked. Claire. I didn't move. Didn't make a sound. I wanted to savor this. Claire stepped into the room like she owned it. I could picture it perfectly. The way her heels clicked against the floor. The way she tilted her head just slightly, like she was bored rather than furious. Nathan, on the other hand, he was losing it. What are you doing here? He stammered. I heard the shuffle of fabric. He was scrambling to cover himself up. Pathetic. Claire exhaled slowly. You know, she said, voice dangerously calm. I was just about to ask you the same thing. Lisa made a choked noise. This isn't what it looks like. Claire laughed. Laughed. Oh, Lisa. She sighed. You really are an idiot. Then, before anyone could say another word, I pushed the door all the way open. Lisa's eyes met mine. And that was the moment she knew. Everything. ***, every single ounce of smugness. Every bit of confidence she had been radiating for months. ***, disappeared in an instant. Her face drained of color. Her mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. And no, wait, she stammered, scrambling off the bed. I can explain. Oh, please, Claire cut in, rolling her eyes. I would love to hear how you explain this. I pulled out my phone. Lisa's entire body went rigid. I tilted the screen toward her. Text messages, photos, videos, a perfectly curated collection of every disgusting conversation she and Nathan had ever had. I swiped to the last message, the one Lisa had sent just hours ago. Don't worry, babe. He won't do anything. He's too weak. I stared straight at her as I said, Still think I'm weak? Lisa flinched. Nathan, meanwhile, had completely fallen apart. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, head in his hands, mumbling something under his breath like a man having a full-blown existential crisis. Claire crossed her arms. Nathan, she said sweetly, Do you have anything to say for yourself? Nathan let out a pathetic, strangled noise. Claire, please, she held up a hand. Don't. Just, don't. Lisa's eyes darted between us, her brain working overtime to come up with an escape plan. Listen, we can talk about this, she blurted, stepping toward me. I made a mistake, but I took a step back. Cold. Distant. You didn't make a mistake, Lisa. My voice was quiet but deadly. You made a choice. Her breath hitched. And then I went in for the kill. I pulled an envelope from my jacket and tossed it onto the bed. It landed between her and Nathan like a grenade. Lisa stared at it, swallowing hard. What is this? I gave her the first genuine smile I'd had in months. Divorce papers. Lisa made a choked noise. Nathan went completely still. Claire? She just smirked. But Lisa wasn't done fighting yet. Oh no. She lunged forward, grabbing my arm. Wait, let's just talk. I yanked my arm away. There's nothing to talk about. Lisa's face crumpled. You don't mean that. I held her gaze. I do. And then the final blow. I know about the money, Lisa. Her entire body went still. I stepped closer, lowering my voice just enough so only she could hear. I know you were planning to take half of everything. I tilted my head slightly. Except, you can't take what you don't know exists. Her mouth fell open. I leaned in just a little. Check the accounts, Lisa. I smiled. You get nothing. And just like that, I walked out. Lisa didn't follow me out of the bar. She couldn't. Not after what I had just dropped on her. She had spent over a year playing me like a fool, weaving a web of lies so tangled that she actually believed she would get away with it. She thought she would leave me on her terms, take half of everything, and ride off into the sunset with Nathan like some twisted fairy tale. Yeah? She had nothing. Claire followed me out, heels clicking against the marble floor of the hotel lobby. She looked satisfied. Amused even. That was entertaining, she murmured. I smirked. She deserved worse. Oh, I know. Claire adjusted her coat. But we're not done, are we? I shook my head. No. Lisa might have been taken down, but Nathan still had to burn. Claire checked her watch. You think he's still upstairs? I glanced toward the elevator. Probably packing his things and panicking. She hummed thoughtfully. Well, let's make his night worse, shall we? Destroying Nathan, we didn't go back upstairs. We didn't need to. Instead, we went straight to the hotel concierge desk. The woman behind the counter greeted us with a polite smile, but I could tell she was exhausted, a long shift, a lot of entitled guests. I leaned against the counter, voice low, friendly. Hi there. Listen, I need to report something. Her smile wavered. Oh? What's the issue, sir? I pulled out my other phone, the one I had been using to track everything. I slid it across the counter and tapped the screen. She glanced down. And then her entire demeanor changed. Because staring back at her was a picture of Nathan. Not just any picture, a photo of him slipping something into Lisa's drink. The concierge's eyes flicked up. Sir, where did you get this? I tilted my head. Let's just say, a concerned party sent it to me. Claire chimed in, voice sharp. I believe the hotel has a strict policy on guest safety, don't they? The concierge straightened. We do. I nodded. Then I suggest you take a closer look at your security footage. I think you'll find that our friend Nathan has been misbehaving. I didn't actually know if Nathan had drugged Lisa. Honestly, I didn't care. What I did know. Nathan had more than one skeleton in his closet. A little digging through his emails, financial records, and private accounts had shown me exactly the kind of man he was. He was reckless. Sloppy. And now? He was about to be blacklisted from every high-end hotel in the city. The final nail in the coffin, we left the hotel, stepping out into the cool night air. Claire exhaled slowly, watching the cars rush by. You know, she said, tilting her head, I thought I'd feel more angry. I glanced at her. And? She shrugged. I just feel relieved. I understood that. The rage, the heartbreak, it had burned through us already. Yeah? It was just freedom. She turned to me, her lips curving into a small smirk. So, what are you going to do now? I exhaled, shoving my hands into my pockets. Lisa was out of my life. Permanently. Nathan was about to lose everything. And me? I had $10 million, a fresh start, and no one dragging me down anymore. I met Claire's gaze. I think I'm going to celebrate. She arched a brow. Oh. I smirked. You in? Claire laughed. A real laugh. Then, after a pause, yeah. She nodded. I'm in. And with that, we walked into the night. The next morning, I woke up to silence. No sound of Lisa clanking around in the kitchen, no fake cheerful morning, babe, while she texted her side piece. Just peace. I lay there for a moment, staring at the ceiling, letting it sink in. It was over. No more lies. No more betrayal. No more pretending. I reached for my phone and checked my messages. Nothing from Lisa. Not a single desperate call or text begging me to take her back. I wasn't surprised. Lisa wasn't the type to apologize, she was the type to plot. But she wouldn't find a way out of this. I had made sure of it. Lisa's last stand around noon, my lawyer called. Well, he said, sounding far too pleased, she signed. I sat up. Already? Oh, yes. And let me tell you, she was livid. He chuckled. She tried to argue, of course. Something about being manipulated and needing more time to discuss a fair settlement. I smirked. And I reminded her that she had signed a prenup. I almost laughed. Lisa had spent years thinking she had me under her thumb, forgetting entirely that she had signed away her rights to my money when we first got married. She had been too in love with my potential back then to care. Yeah? She was learning the hard way that potential had turned into a fortune she would never touch. My lawyer cleared his throat. She walked out before I could even say goodbye. Good, I said. You're officially free, my friend. I hung up and stared at the phone, my mind finally accepting what had happened. Lisa was gone. She had no husband, no money, no job. And once word got out about what happened, no reputation. Everything she had spent years building destroyed in a single week. Nathan Falls. I got a text from Claire later that evening. Claire, turn on the news. I grabbed the remote, flipped to the local station, and there he was, Nathan. But not in a suit. Not in his expensive car, grinning like a smug bastard. No, Nathan was being escorted out of his office in handcuffs. I turned up the volume. Sources say Nathan Caldwell is under investigation for financial misconduct and potential fraud. I let out a low whistle. Claire hadn't wasted any time. I texted her back. Your work. Her response came instantly. I just pointed them in the right direction. I grinned. Nathan wasn't just cheating on his wife. He was cheating his clients. And once Claire and I started digging, it hadn't been hard to tip off the right people. Yeah? Nathan was about to lose everything. And the best part? Lisa had left her husband for a man who might be going to prison. The final goodbye that night, I got a call from Lisa. I let it ring. Then I let it ring again. And again. On the fourth call, I finally answered. I didn't say anything. Just waited. Lisa let out a shaky breath. I hope you're happy. I leaned back, completely relaxed. I am. Silence. Then, bitterly, you ruined my life. I smiled. No, Lisa. You did. I just made sure you paid for it. She scoffed. I loved you, you know. No, I said. You loved what I could give you. More silence. Then, a whisper. What am I supposed to do now? I didn't answer. I just hung up. And as I sat there, phone in hand, feeling the weight of everything finally lift off my shoulders, I realized something. Lisa and Nathan had spent a year planning to destroy my life. Instead, I had destroyed theirs, and I had never felt freer.